Snowdrop begins in the spring of 1987 at Hosu Women's University, where we meet four dorm mates from room 207, Yongro, Seoul Hui, Hae Ryong, and Jong Min. We are also introduced to a girl named Bun Ok, who works at the dorm's phone desk. Meanwhile, at the ruling Emin party, rivals Tae Il, the Secretary General, and Chang Soo, the Director of the Agency for National Security Planning, or the ANSP, discuss the top-secret Operation Phoenix with the party's president. The plan involves abducting Professor Han Isok, a key opposition figure, and framing it as him defecting to North Korea, making him and the opposition party seem like communist sympathizers. At ANSP headquarters, agents Han Na and Gang Mu prepare to capture a North Korean spy named Taedong River 1. Gang Mu had previously been chasing this spy in Germany after proposing to Han Na and disappearing. Back at the university, Yong-ro answers a call from Gwang Tae, who introduces himself and sets up a group blind date, though it's clear he's mainly interested in meeting Hae Ryong. With one boy missing to complete the group of four, Gwang Tae begs Soo Ho to join the date, who claims to be an economics student from Berlin, having come back to Korea to finish his thesis. Soo Ho reluctantly agrees when Gwang Tae threatens to withhold an introduction to Professor Han. Meanwhile, Yong-ro worries that Jong Min won't attend, and Bun Ok eagerly steps in to take her place. The day of the date arrives. As the girls walk in, Gwang Tae leaps from his seat to greet them, accidentally knocking the table and toppling the matchstick tower Soo Ho was building. Both Soo Ho and Yong-ro reach to save it, and her hands land on his, a moment that sparks a series of curious glances between them. Bun Ok, joining the girls, quickly claims the seat across from Soo Ho and introduces herself as a Hosu student. Eager to leave with Soo Ho, she flashes 2 concert tickets, hoping to partner up. When it's time to choose partners, the girls close their eyes while the boys place tokens on the table. Hae Ryong is first and picks an exam certificate, assuming it's Soo Ho's, only for Gwang Tae to reveal it's his. Next is Yong-ro, who is drawn to a paper plane, Soo Ho's actual token. He clears his throat as her hand hovers over it, hoping she'll choose it. But before she can, Bun Ok, who overheard their token discussion earlier, snatches the plane right out of reach. After the date, Yong-ro listens to a record at a store, singing along without realizing it. Embarrassed, she tries to slip away quickly but bumps into Soo Ho, who is browsing the shelves after cutting his time with Bun Ok short. Still feeling humiliated, Yong-ro rushes to buy a cassette tape but discovers her wallet is empty. She hurries outside, but Soo Ho catches up to her, holding the cassette tape. Feeling guilty for accepting the unexpected gift, she runs after him as he walks away. Soo Ho sees a group of police officers searching for wanted men and turns into a dead-end alley. Yong-ro follows him in and slips the tape. Seeing the officers crowding around the entrance, she pretends they are a couple having a fight. Soo Ho pulls her into a hug. As she shakes, he comforts her. This is enough to fool the officers, and they move on. Soo Ho compliments Yong-ro on her acting. She explains that her brother was once arrested during a protest and walks away. Soo Ho follows her, about to ask her out to dinner, when he spots the person watching from the car. He stops, and instead gives her the tape back, thanking her. This time, Yong-ro stops him from leaving. She says she doesn't like feeling indebted and asks him to meet her for coffee the next day to return the favor. But he never shows up. Unbeknownst to Yong-ro, Soo Ho is actually Taedong River 1 and has been secretly tasked with abducting Professor Han as part of the deal that Tae Il and Chang Soo made with the North Korean officials Ji Rock and So Ryeon. Following their orders, Soo Ho's attempt to kidnap the professor fails, and he ends up on the run, chased by Han Na and Gang Mu. Wounded, Soo Ho scales the university building, collapsing in Yong-ro's dorm room. As the agents burst into the building, Yong-ro finds Soo Ho, and though shocked, she thinks quickly, Soo Ho must be a protester, and that's why the agents are framing him as a communist spy. Yong-ro begins to clean the blood off the floor and window. Seoul Hui enters shortly after. The matron uses the dormitory speakers to announce that all students must lock themselves in the nearest room until further notice. Just as the order is issued, Hae Ryong and Jong Min return. Yong-ro asks her dormmates for help to hide him. Jong Min agrees right away. Hae Ryong, having heard Gang Mu label Soo Ho as a North Korean spy, is hesitant. However, she agrees when Jong Min points out that student protesters are often framed as spies to justify their arrest, and Yong-ro reminds her that Soo Ho was one of the boys on their group date. When Ha-na aims her gun at the matron's head, demanding she reverse the lockdown, the matron instead reinforces the order. Furious, Hana nearly strikes the matron with her gun, but Gangmu intervenes, telling her to retrieve a search warrant from the prosecutor's office. While they wait for Hana's return, Bun-ok eagerly shows Gangmu the dormitory blueprints without the matron's permission. From them, Gangmu realizes that the main door is the only exit. But there is also another exit, but it's a locked door in the mechanical room, which they cannot use. Meanwhile, Soo Ho wakes up, and Yong-ro reminds him who she is. He limps toward the window, intending to leave to protect the girls, but finds Gangmu waiting right below. Just then, Gangmu discovers a trail of blood leading to room 207, coinciding with Hana's arrival with the search warrant. The matron trails behind the agents as they burst into room 207, discovering Hae Ryong alone. She spots a bloodstain near the door that the girls overlooked, but chooses not to mention it to the agents. The agents search the room, but find nothing. When Gangmu questions Hae Ryong about the missing girls, she claims they are in the dorm bathhouse. The matron supports her by explaining that the bathhouse has no speakers, so the girls wouldn't have heard the lockdown announcement. The rest of the girls from room 207 hide Soo Ho inside a bench in the bathhouse sauna. Hearing Gangmu approaching, they quickly undress and cover him with their clothes before closing the bench and sitting on top of it. Hana is the only agent to enter the bathhouse after the matron scolds the male agents for their inappropriate intrusion. Following the sound of the girls singing, she barges into the sauna with her gun drawn. As Hana interrogates the startled trio, blood seeps out from under the bench. Yong-ro jumps off, positioning herself to conceal the blood beneath her feet and pretending to be outraged at Hana's entrance. With Hana giving the all-clear, Gangmu leads his agents out of the Hosu dormitory. Meanwhile, the rest of their team brings Soo Ho's driver, Gumchol, into their headquarters. The girls move Soo Ho to a closet in the bathroom for the night. He contemplates how he can repay Yong-ro, but she reassures him that she's repaying the cassette tape he bought her. One of Gangmu's agents makes a secret call to Chang-soo, who scolds him for failing to stop Gangmu. The agent reminds him of his orders to act discreetly and reveals that Professor Han is sticking to his flat tire story. Tai-il confronts Chang-soo after the call, frustrated that their plan has fallen apart. Through their exchange, we learn that Operation Phoenix is their covert collaboration with North Korea, funding spies to abduct Professor Han and discredit the opposition party. With public support growing for fair elections, they aim to sway voters. The operation's top-secret nature means Chang-soo has to act without ANSP support, even keeping Chief An Gyong-hwae in the dark. The next day, at ANSP headquarters, Chief An orders Gangmu to step down from the Taedong River 1 case, a direct order from Chang-soo. Gangmu tries to argue but is overruled. Noticing the lack of media coverage about the chase's gunfire, Hana suspects a cover-up. She asks Gangmu if they are really backing off, but he firmly denies it, still reeling from the loss of a junior agent in Germany. Gangmu and his team interrogate Gumchol, who ends up swollen and bleeding. Gangmu is puzzled about why the North Koreans would abduct Professor Han after going to such lengths to get close to him. Gumchol reveals nothing and ingests a cyanide pill. With the help of the dorm's handyman, Mondong, the girls move the injured Soo Ho to a hidden cabin on the rooftop. But they must be careful because Bun-ok, greedy for the promised cash reward, is on the lookout for Soo Ho, and the grounds are crawling with agents. As Yong-ro helps Soo Ho recover, they grow closer. She starts smuggling food and supplies to him, even creating a knock code to signal her visits. He asks for batteries, claiming he wants to use a radio he found to listen for news about fellow student protesters. Little does she know, he has been secretly tampering with it. Yong-ro uses the cabin bath to wash Soo Ho's used bandages, unaware that water is leaking from the tub into the floor drain. The water seeps through the library ceiling, dripping onto Gyeongja's desk. Noticing the leak, Gyeongja alerts the matron. Accompanied by Mondong, they head to the cabin to investigate. As they near the cabin, Yong-ro sketches a rough map of the dorm for Soo Ho. Mondong pretends to unlock the door, coughing and muttering to signal their presence. Unfortunately, there's no escape. Bun-ok sneaks into the cabin and signals Gyeongja, pointing to an open window. Gyeongja alerts the matron, who pokes her head outside. Meanwhile, Yong-ro and Soo Ho remain hidden against the adjacent wall. Suddenly, Yong-ro slips and nearly falls. Soo Ho catches her. While gripping a wall pipe, the matron finds nothing. Soo Ho struggles to pull Yong-ro back up as the matron departs with the others. She orders Mondong to lock the cabin and hand over his key. Once safely inside, Soo Ho wraps a blanket over Yong-ro's shoulders and hands her a drink to calm her down. It nearly works, until she notices the bloodstain spreading over his wound from when he rescued her. After rebandaging Soo Ho's shoulder, Yong-ro finds the cabin locked. Fortunately, Man-dong and Jung-min, who noticed she hadn't returned to her bed, are on their way. To calm Yong-ro's panic, Soo Ho folds a paper airplane. She makes one too, and their distraction turns into enjoyment until Man-dong arrives to pick the lock. Soo Ho asks Man-dong for help. Man-dong takes them to a hidden emergency exit in the mechanical room that the students don't know about. They reach the emergency exit, but they find ANSP agents stationed right outside. Instead, they come up with a plan to use the dorm's open day to sneak Soo Ho out. Retrieving a suit from Yong-ro's brother's room, we learn that Yong-ro's father is Chang-soo, the ANSP director. On the day of the escape, Soo Ho and Yong-ro have their hands full, dodging the matron Bunok and the agents. However, they manage to make it to the main entrance gates unscathed. Before leaving, Soo Ho, turning back at the last minute, gives Yong-ro the pigeon necklace that his sister had given him. Back at North Korean spy hideout, Soo Ho reunites with comrade Ju, unaware that Ju has orders to kill him if his loyalty wavers. We also learn that Ji-rock is Soo Ho's father, putting extra pressure on him to succeed in his mission. Soo Ho later kidnaps Professor Han again, convincing him to go to North Korea by claiming that his son has defected there and desperately wants to leave but can't. With the professor tied up and blindfolded, Soo Ho orders the other spies to go to the port and take the 10 p.m. boat to the north. He'll join them after he gets the guns and the money that had been hidden in the mountain next to the dorm. However, as Soo Ho grabs the bag of goods, he spots Han-na and Gang-moo running away. Soo Ho ends up back in the dorm again, though this time through a secret passage from the mountain hut. Running into the foyer, Soo Ho finds himself cornered by agents. Desperate, he grabs Yong-ro, holding her at gunpoint to force the agents to lower their weapons, leaving her terrified. During the standoff in the dorm foyer, Gang-moo takes a bullet while saving Han-na from comrade Ju. A chaotic gunfight breaks out as Soo Ho shields Yong-ro. In the end, Tae-il and Chang-soo arrange for the agents to leave the building, except Gang-moo, who is to remain inside with the girls as hostages, guarded by Soo Ho, comrade Ju, and comrade Lee. At the ANSP headquarters, Chang-soo learns that a shootout on a boat has killed the spies transporting Professor Han and injured Yong-ro's brother, Yong-woo. Unaware of what has happened to her brother and disgusted by Soo Ho's true identity, Yong-ro feels betrayed, even as Soo Ho assures her that he will let her go soon. With comrade Lee hurt, Soo Ho negotiates with Chang-soo for a doctor in exchange for releasing some of the girls. Tae-il sends Chung-ya, his mistress, as the doctor. He also secretly arranges for her to drug the spies, and Han-na hides a gun in her medical bag. Arriving at the dorm along with Han-na, Chung-ya gets to work as Soo Ho begins choosing which hostages to release. However, it's not easy, especially after Yong-ro whispers to Soo Ho that she is secretly the daughter of the ANSP's director. When agents burst in again, Soo Ho grabs Yong-ro, this time with a grenade in the other hand. Forcing all the agents, including Han-na, out, Soo Ho starts booby-trapping the whole place, making the building into one big bomb. Outside, Chang-soo and Tae-il struggle to agree on how to handle the situation. After negotiating, Chang-soo tells Soo Ho to leave through the secret passageway. Turning on the radio, Soo Ho gets a coded message from the north: cooperate with the south. Back inside, Chung-ya, who, it turns out, had been a famous and skilled North Korean spy this whole time, alerts Soo Ho to the fact that the entire building is bugged. Tensions peak when the news reports that Professor Han was killed while being abducted by the North, shifting public blame to the government and ruining their plan to discredit the opposition. This is a massive problem for Chang-soo and Tae-il. Receiving a call from Chang-soo, Ji-rock orders that the spies be sent back alive. So Rion calls them back and gives Chang-soo permission to kill the spies in exchange for $300 million. Meanwhile, at the dorm, chaos unfolds as comrade Ju finds a hidden gun in Chung-ya's medical kit, unaware that she is a North Korean spy. Comrade Ju hits her repeatedly. Suddenly, loud music blasts through the cafeteria, freezing everyone in place. Soo Ho enters with Yong-ro's radio, pleased that he's deafened the ANSP agents. Comrade Ju pulls Chung-ya, her face covered in blood, in front of him. Soo Ho tries to de-escalate the situation with comrade Ju, while Gang-moo discreetly pockets Chung-ya's scalpel. Soo Ho's efforts fail, and comrade Ju flings Yong-ro away, replacing her with Chung-ya as he aims his gun, visible to the snipers outside. The snipers report back to base, causing a worried Tae-il to instruct Chief An to locate Chung-ya. Joining the snipers, he urges them to take down Comrade Ju, but Chung-ya is in the line of fire. As Soo Ho struggles to take the gun from Comrade Ju, Han-na turns off the radio. In the chaos, the gun that Chung-ya had hidden falls to the ground and kicks right to Yong-ro. She aims it at Comrade Ju. Soo Ho begs Yong-ro to drop the gun, while Gangmu urges the spies to not let things get out of control. Comrade Ju lowers his gun, and an ANSP sniper takes a shot, completely missing and making the standoff worse. Comrade Ju fires back. Soo Ho knocks the gun from Yong-ro and pushes her. The paper airplane she made with a written note, thrown away earlier and picked up by Soo Ho, slips from his jacket. Just before he stands up and faces Comrade Ju to stop any more shooting, Soo Ho snatches the note back, crumpling it in his fist before Comrade Ju or Chung-ya notices it. Amid the chaos, Han-na slips away to the mechanical room. Soo Ho notices her absence and chases her. He traps her at the entrance to the secret passageway, but she has already disarmed it. She threatens him with the SWAT team's presence, and he warns her to go outside and disband them, or he'll blow up the building with Gangmu inside. Ignoring his command, Han-na calls for the SWAT team outside the entrance. They hesitate, as Tae-il has canceled his grand plan after their new agreement with the North. Soo Ho is furious about yet another plot to kill him, and refuses to listen to Chong-soo's demand to confirm his new orders from the North. He plans to kill a student within the next 10 minutes. Furious, pulling out the wiretaps, Soo Ho explains to Comrade Ju that Yong-ro, being Chong-soo's daughter, is their lifeline. Calling Soo Ho, Chong-soo explains their plan. If the spies don't kill any of the hostages, then the South will send them back safely after 10 days, which would be after the election. Chung-ya reveals that she deliberately provoked Comrade Ju to sell her act and introduces herself as Moran Hil-won, a renowned North Korean spy sent to help them return home. Eating separately with Yong-ro, Soo Ho and Yong-ro are interrupted by a news broadcast. Yong-ro's brother has died. Overwhelmed by grief, she tries to rush down the booby-trapped stairway, but Soo Ho stops her. Her sorrow quickly turns to anger and she slaps Soo Ho, blaming him until she collapses. When Soo Ho checks on her, Chung-ya cautions him not to let his personal feelings jeopardize their mission. Soo Ho insists he has none. After Soo Ho departs, Yong-ro awakens in a panic. At the same time, Gangmu, having freed himself after getting caught earlier, discovers the matron's secret surveillance room, where she has been spying on the girls this whole time. Leaving the room, Gangmu approaches Soo Ho and tries to reason with him. The Aemon party is using them and will kill everyone in order to win the public over using their anger. While calming Yong-ro down, Chung-ya notices the pigeon necklace. In a flashback, we see that, back in North Korea, Chung-ya had wanted to buy the necklace, but Soo Ho had refused to sell it, saying that it was more precious than his life. Unwilling to stay put, Yong-ro seeks out Soo Ho and begs to attend her brother's funeral. Although he initially drags her back to the room, he spots Chung-ya and reconsiders. Reluctantly, Yong-ro returns to the cafeteria. Soo Ho finds the scarf that Yong-woo gifted to Yong-ro. He gives it to her as a gesture of comfort. At ANSP headquarters, Han-na learns that Chief An plans to announce the presence of 7 spies in the dorm during his upcoming press conference. Furious that he would risk the hostages' safety, she confronts him, but he vaguely references an agreement made behind her back. As the conference begins, Han-na approaches an arrogant reporter and offers him a scoop. Meanwhile, watching Chief An exaggerate their situation on TV, Soo Ho's doubts about the ANSP deepen. Chung-ya suggests releasing half the hostages to leak the true number of spies. Soo Ho contacts Tae-il, who is directing the dorm operation while Chang-soo grieves, and demands supplies from Han-na in exchange for the hostages. Bun-ok discovers a drop of goods hidden under the stove in the kitchen. Sung-bom, Kim Man-dong's son, enters and hastily stuffs cash and a gun into his jacket. Comrade Ju catches Sung-bom, snatching back the money before shoving him toward the cafeteria. Sung-bom raises his stolen gun, clicking off the safety. Lacking experience, he doesn't realize it's unloaded until he pulls the trigger and nothing happens. Man-dong shields Sung-bom as Comrade Ju rains down blows. Gangmu urges Comrade Ju to divert his attention, nearly getting himself shot. Just in time, Soo Ho diffuses the situation and orders Comrade Ju to relocate Gangmu, Man-dong, and Sung-bom to the dorm chapel. Once alone in the chapel, Gangmu quickly frees himself and unties the other 2 men. Man-dong slides a mirror aside to reveal a secret passageway leading to an exit on Mount Ogong. Gangmu uses the passage to escape the dorm, finding a SWAT team outside. He calls for them to follow him in, but they fire warning shots at his feet and herd him back inside on Tae-il's orders. Gang-moo dodges Soo Ho and Comrade Ju by locking himself in the surveillance room. Reviewing the footage since he left, he uncovers the South-North Agreement and realizes Chung-ya is a North Korean spy. Soo Ho contacts Tae-il through the phone, anxious about the gunshots. He's not reassured to learn Tae-il sent an agent back into the dorm to silence any disturbances. Piecing everything together, Gang-moo recognizes the danger everyone in the dorm faces. He leaves the surveillance room to reason with Soo Ho, explaining that the Eamon party is likely to kill everyone in the dorm to exploit public outrage for the election. Soo Ho dismisses his concerns, confident in his party's plans. Gang-moo, Man-dong, and Seung-bom are taken back to the cafeteria. Yong-ro discreetly asks Gang-moo how she can help them escape. He tells her to sit tight and warns her about the detonator in Soo Ho's back pocket. Yong-ro asks to go to the bathroom but ends up in another dorm room with Soo Ho, who is rewrapping her bandages. The moment rekindles their past sincerity, and Soo Ho apologizes for Yong-woo, assuring her he wants to leave without hurting anyone. He admits he wishes to release her, but can't. As Soo Ho starts to leave, Yong-ro embraces him from behind, pleading for him not to go. He turns around and hugs her. Lowering his guard, he is unprepared when Yong-ro snatches the detonator and pushes him away. Soo Ho chases Yong-ro, managing to grab the detonator before pinning her against a wall. Soo Ho begs Yong-ro to believe him when he says that he doesn't want to cause her more pain. Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, Gang-moo tries to rally the students. However, when Soo Ho comes back, he drags Gang-moo to another room and punches him before Gang-moo even has a chance to explain that he had nothing to do with Yong-ro's reckless behavior. Eventually, their conversation shifts into Gang-moo's theory, as he warns Soo Ho that it's pointless to surrender. The South is willing to sacrifice the girls and the spies for their politics, while the North values the money they're about to get over their spies' lives. At the same time, the ANSP's chief An addresses the press, falsely claiming that supplies will be sent in exchange for hostages, while, in reality, Tae-il orders Soo Ho not to free anyone, so that it will look like the ANSP is trying to do anything they can while the spies are making it difficult. The next day, Gang-moo and the matron launch their escape, following their plan while Soo Ho and Comrade Ju go to look for Yong-ro, who has hidden herself in the secret surveillance room. The rest of the hostages make their way to the main doors through the chapel's secret passageway. However, Chung-ya, armed with the bomb detonator, presses the button, and everyone, hearing the deafening explosion, is stopped in their tracks. A huge section of the dorm goes up in flames. Fortunately, no one is hurt, but the hostages' escape plan is ruined, and Soo Ho, along with the rest of the spies, immediately get to work re-booby-trapping the dorm. Meanwhile, at the ANSP headquarters, Tae-il is in a panic and lashes out at Soo Ho for not sticking to the plan, while Chang-soo demands that Soo Ho release Yong-ro. Releasing Yong-ro isn't an option. Bringing Yong-ro to the cafeteria windows so that Chang-soo can confirm that she's okay, Comrade Ju, following Chung-ya's orders, opens fire on Yong-ro when she tries to tell the South about Chung-ya being a spy. When the Southern snipers retaliate, Soo Ho ends up getting shot while trying to protect her. As Chung-ya attends to Soo Ho's wound, the two clash over their loyalties. Although Chung-ya still believes the North will save them, Soo Ho is not so sure. Chung-ya sees his doubt as a betrayal. When Han-na manages to arrive with tapes that confirm how the South and the North agreed to kill the spies, Soo Ho finally realizes that he has been abandoned by Ji-rock and frees Gang-moo, who had been held in the basement with the matron and Yong-ro. Tying up Comrade Ju and Chung-ya instead, Soo Ho tries to explain to them what he believes is really going on. Although Chung-ya is open to listening to his explanation, Comrade Ju tells Soo Ho that he has been ordered to shoot Soo Ho and that Soo Ho was never a trusted member of the party. To cheer Soo Ho up after this painful conversation, Yong-ro makes him coffee. She says with each sip will erase one of his painful memories, as they pick memories they want to erase. Soo Ho says, then erase this memory too, and kisses her. Having done her job sneaking around and gathering evidence, when Han-na discovers proof of the South-North election scheme, she goes to the press to leak it along with the footage the hostages took of themselves to show that they were not being mistreated. Soo Ho and Gang-moo wait for the fallout. Seeing how things are playing out, Chang-soo, who had always been against harming the students, now suggests rescuing Yong-ro and blowing up the dorm with all the hostages inside. As the SWAT team prepares to storm the dorm, Yong-ro hatches a plan to meet her father and beg him to save everyone. But it's a trap. When Chang-soo uses a code word, all the snipers start firing as Yong-ro is pulled back inside by Soo Ho and Gangmu. Ironically, it's a trap for Chang-soo as well, as Tae-il seizes the opportunity and orders them to shoot Chang-soo. With Chang-soo in the hospital and Tae-il spinning the situation to frame the spies for the shootout, the ANSP forces try to break into the dorm. To buy time, Chung-ya comes up with a plan. They need to intercept the money deal between the North and South, because if they have the money, then neither the North nor the South will be able to touch them. Leaving the dorm, Chung-ya uses her connections to trick the ANSP's Chief An's wife to run the money deal through a fake company, giving Chung-ya the password to the Swiss bank account. However, when Bun Ok exposes Chung-ya's real identity after eavesdropping, Chief An rushes to try and capture her. Luckily, Han-na intervenes and Chung-ya is able to escape. Unfortunately for Tae-il, it's also been exposed that he's been sleeping with a North Korean spy. The hugely ambitious Chief An, known for using torture on his prisoners, arrests Tae-il. And things are hardly going better back at the dorm, as Soo Ho has just been ordered to blow up the building by midnight or his sister will be executed. Soo Ho is devastated. At the same time, Soo Ho finds out that it has been Soo Ryeon who has been ordering Comrade Ju to shoot him. Soo Ryeon is his birth mother. As night falls, the spies prepare to make their escape out the back door. However, they have another problem. There is a fifth northern spy in their midst, Mandong. Finding Comrade Ju and Comrade Lee at the rendezvous point, Mandong shoots them before being killed himself, trying to protect Soo Ho. As for Soo Ho and Chung-ya, when Soo Ho finds out that Tae-il, desperate to redeem himself, is trying to frame Yong-ro, he lets Chung-ya escape alone before heading back to the dorm. There, he finds Gangmu trying to negotiate. However, Chang-soo is being overruled by Chief An and Tae-il, who are preparing for a full-blown attack, tanks and all. As the SWAT team moves in, the hostages escape out the secret passageway, all except Yong-ro, who can't bear to leave Soo Ho behind. After a lot of gunfire, Soo Ho ends up making a heartbreaking sacrifice, shielding Yong-ro from the flying bullets in the attic where they first fell for each other. With his final words, he hands her a tape expressing his love. After his death, life moves on for everyone. Chang-soo, Tae-il, and Chief An all go to prison. Gangmu and Han-na get together. Even the matron and Bun-ok overcome their struggles and now work together at the dorm. Everyone moves on except Yong-ro, who remains haunted by her love for Soo Ho, replaying his voice in her mind as she mourns his passing.